Let's go live. Hey, everyone. Dr. Kennard, Tobin Templeman, here we are on the After Party After Show. We're just talking about music. We're talking about Tobin's music, to tell you the truth, because Tobin does music. And you have a YouTube channel, Tobin, named Apple Tobin Templeman.
Yeah, I'm just going as my name. It's just being genuine. I really want the people who I've hung out with in the past and been friends with, I want them to easily be able to find me now. There's a lot of people that I'm really curious to have conversations with.
Yes. Well, that's fantastic. I am, when I first named this video, this channel, Laughing in Disbelief, that was the name of my old blog on Pathos, non-religious channel. And so that seemed like a good idea. Now that we're on Only Sky, and I swear to God, I swear to my fictitious God that I believe the site's going to be launching next week. Well, it's supposed to be launching on the 19th, which is next week. So Only Sky, it's a progressive humanist site. It's going to be the world's largest secular site. I feel like it's going to be launching on the 19th. That's what I've heard. That's what I'm getting ready for. So that's what that's what I've been excited about, I guess. Excited? Yeah, looking forward to it. That's what I've been looking forward to. Yes, Jesse Bear. Jesse Bear and I were talking about this on the gram. I'm sharing a link with the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's research. My grandmother, as most of you, passed away recently. She suffered from Parkinson's. Yeah, definitely feel free to drop that in, Jesse Bear. Big Zebra, who's commonly on the show, on the panel. Too messed up to enter the chat. Best wishes to you all. Oh, yeah, Big Zebra. Yeah, if you're not up to it, brother, no, yeah, definitely. There's no pressure coming on the chat or coming on the show or whatever. People have their schedules, right? And some days people feel better than other days, and people's schedules change. Yeah, that's totally understandable. What's up, Kendra? What's up, Ian Davenport?
Yeah.
Jesse Bear writes down, she was dedicated to research, to helping those that still do and will suffer from it. Yeah. So this is for Parkinson's research, everyone. There's the link right there. You can see it in the chat. What's up, Theo? So so what am I up to this weekend? I don't know, man. I don't know. I have a friend's birthday party. There's only going to be like 4 people there. We're all like double vax and boosted, and we're going to watch a movie, hang out amongst the vaccinated, right, and enjoy our times. And enjoy the time. So that's one of the things I got going on.
Heck yeah. Seems like some normalcy kind of coming back into your life.
Yeah, right? Normalcy is
hanging
good.
Out with friends.
You're right. How crazy is that? Yeah. So that's what I've got going on. And of course, working on whatever videos or whatever content I'm working on. Looking for new writers, new content creators because I'm doing the comedy. I'm on the site or I'm for the comedy section of Only Sky. I'm the person to it's like the talent scout to try to bring in new people. So I got a couple of comedy writers already on with me for Only Joking, which is a comedy section of Only Sky. But always looking for more people,
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta have plenty of material to roll with,
Right. Yes.
Heck yeah, if I come across somebody funny and they got articles they're writing, I'll
you can send them my way. You can send them my way. Yeah. And oh wow, yeah. I've heard that there's a couple of storms, John Christian. I've heard that there's some weather, right? Some weather. I think that's what a lot of people say. There's weather coming our way. Of course, there's always weather, but yes, the weather is a term just for bad weather. Up here in the Northeast, I've heard that there's weather coming our way too. Yeah. So with the launch of Only Sky, I'm hoping to get, and so I'm in this weird limbo because I want to get people from Only Sky on the channel, but there's also going to be there might be probably going to be a podcast too. So I'm waiting. So I'm just waiting. There's a lot of hurry up and wait right now until things get solidified.
Right on.
I wanted to pop in today, but packing to travel to the funeral, so feeling a bit down. Yeah, I can understand. Yeah. Wood for the stove. John Christian, I don't think I'm I had one of my old girlfriends, her dad had a wood pellet stove, and it heated the house fine, don't get me wrong, but there was work. That was work.
Oh yeah.
So yes, the podcast, what we're going to be doing for the Only Joking podcast, and the way how, and this hasn't been certified yet, but my vision for the if you saw the old show, The Naked Diner, or listened to my old podcast, The Naked Diner podcast, then it'd be somewhat similar to that. It'd be like a Mark Maron WTF kind of format where we just have guests coming in and having these conversations. Like I said, I've done in the past. So yeah, we would definitely be dropping the video, the podcasts on YouTube, and I'd probably be cutting up little slices of that, for little clips too. So yeah, that is the plan. At least we'll see if the plan actually works out. Simply Secular Dave said, this is the first day in a while that I've checked the weather, and it hasn't been. Yeah, Dave sent me a picture of some of the rain they've gotten over there on the west coast of Canada, and it doesn't look good. It looks like a lot of water. It looks like too much water.
Yeah, I hear the stories about people driving around up there and stuff, semi trucks, tipping over and slide. Man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could make it up there in that kind of stuff. Like actually living wise.
Yeah. It's difficult if you haven't been exposed to a lot of, at least up here. I'm in the Northeast. I'm in the Boston area, as if you couldn't tell with my crappy accent, everyone, if your first time watching or listening to the show. So, we've gotten used, people up here are used to driving in the snow. And if you're new here, and if you're not used to driving in the crazy roads of Boston, because Boston, it's not on a grid system. There's like this small section of Boston that's actually kind of gritty, right? Kind of like a grid, but most of it is not. It's like a plate of spaghetti, basically. That's the road system here in Boston. So yeah, if you're new here and if you're not used to driving in the snow, and if you're not used to driving on the roads in Boston, then it's crazy. That's what it is.
Yeah, I would have to lock myself, or I wouldn't have to lock myself. I would have to stay indoors. I wouldn't be able to ride in it. Like here, whenever it snows and it freezes, like we can't get out of here, like, because there's a hill and it's steep enough to where, I mean, I don't even think if you had a 4x4 truck, you'd probably slide down there if you didn't have the right tires. Yeah.
John Christian says Boston traffic is nuts. I'll tell you this: my girlfriend is from Colorado. She grew up in Texas, but she lived in Colorado for a number of years, and then she's been out here for about 4 years. And so she saw the most Boston freaking thing a couple of months ago. We were driving around, and we're at a stoplight, and the light changes to green, and this woman, and I guess it was her boyfriend, are like, walking across the street. They get into this altercation, we'll say, an argument with the driver who's in the first spot, who's like trying to go. And they get into an argument, and she has a cup of Dunkies, like a frozen coffee, like an iced coffee. and she just whips it at the car. The most Boston thing you're ever going to see.
Yeah,
So
that
there you
road
go.
rage, that can get you in trouble.
That's how bad the roads are here, is that the pedestrians give you crap that they throw their donkeys at you. Chris Maria says, I'd rather drive through snow than hydroplane going down the highway. Yeah, I've done. Yeah, that's horrible. That's hydroplaning. Yeah, that's bad.
It's kind of fun though at the same time. Because you just like you're sliding, you just get this like momentum. You feel the inertia pushing. It's kind of fun as long as you don't run.
Yeah, as long as you don't get wrecked, that's fine. I have to tell you, in all of my, once you get, obviously, I'm not a young person, right? I'm not a young man. When you get to a certain point in your life, you realize that you've had several instances that you could have died, and every single one of those, or I actually saw my I don't want to bring the party down. I actually saw my granddad die when I was about 18 to 19 years old. He collapsed he collapsed in the house with me. At no point in any of those near death instances that it was always just this kind of like clear and crystal consciousness of being there in the moment, but not really being terrified or anything like that. It's more like, oh, this is what's happening right now. And that's been my personal. I don't know if anyone else has had like these near-death experiences, but that's been my, when I got held up at gunpoint, I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, we'll do the thing. I'll do the thing necessary to keep you alive.
Yeah, there is that moment where it's just like you're almost in a trance or like a neutral state,
a neutral state,
where you're just like aware, trying to digest what is going on.
I don't want to get too Scientology like, but I'm going to use one of their terms. It's like you're clear. It's like there's this clear consciousness, that you're just that. At least that's what I felt the times I've been in the deep end of the pool, so to speak.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I've been in some of those moments where you got to react pretty quickly to a situation. Like, I've actually saved a person's life. Like, I've caught somebody choking.
Oh yeah, dude.
I've helped people who have been injured extremely bad and need to get to the hospital really quick. Like, those moments are you definitely need to keep a good sense of awareness.
Yeah.
And don't freak out. Whatever you do, don't freak out. I've seen other people freaking out, and it looks pretty bad for them.
It does. Yeah, a couple of rules: if someone is freaking out around you, don't say "don't freak out."
Yeah.
It's like, other things like, hey, everything's okay, or everything's manageable, or we're going to get through this maybe, but saying don't freak out has a tendency of having the other person freak out a bit more.
Chill out, man.
Right.
You need to calm down. Nah. Yeah. That.
Yeah. Definitely.
I did hang out with Jimmy and Trent last night. They had an interesting guest on last night.
Who was the guest? Who was the guest, brother? Who was the guest?
I can't remember his name, and well, I don't think I ever picked up his name last night. Like, it didn't have it on the lower third or whatever down here.
Mm-hmm.
But he's an atheist who's on the right. Like, he was wearing a T-shirt that said "Socialism Distancing." I was like,
oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's people who know who are who have been in the atheist movement for a while. Who is it? Dave Silverman. You know, he was head of the American Atheist for years, and you know, ever since he got into trouble because he couldn't keep it in his pants, and that's by far that's a quick synopsis of what the long drama happened. He's turned into a right winger, yeah. Yeah, he heads up an organization called Atheists for Liberty. And the thing, so what was his position? I don't want to see, as soon as you start talking about right wing secular people, it's like, I don't think they understand what they're doing. But so what was this person's point about why he's not believing in God and a right winger at the same, and a Republican or whatever, or a right winger at the same time?
What I recall is that basically the right wing people are much nicer to him. They don't call him names and stuff like that. Yeah,
you know,
I wish I could have asked a lot of questions. There's a lot to like pick at what he was saying.
Yeah, you know, I've gotten into trouble with other Democrats, with the community in the past. Nothing incredibly bad, but that doesn't mean that my opinions are going to change. That doesn't mean that just because other people within my clique may not like me, right? That's just part and parcel of what I do. I know that what I do on my blog or on this space, it is not for everyone. So if suddenly people, you know, didn't like me or started saying horrible things about me, that does not change my positions on how I feel about human rights, or about church and state separation, or about racial inequality or income inequality here in the country. So if tomorrow all of you just told me you're like full of crap, I would still be doing the same thing that I'm doing now, having done stand-up comedy and performing in front of one or two people. Right? It's like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. That's because I like doing this. Yeah. But you see people like Rogan, and I think Rogan's the same way. Joe Rogan, is that he gets in trouble with the left for saying stupid things, for irresponsible things. And so that just pushes him more to the right. And that's a childish reaction. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a lack of like really understanding what makes up the right and the left. Like, I'm of the left because on the issues, I think, you know, they should be, you know, the left side. Like, if we go into abortion, I think a woman should be able to have the choice for abortion.
Yeah.
You know, gun rights and stuff like that. If you just go down that whole list and you check which side you're on, hey, that's what side you're on. And like the community, like you're gonna have like moments with your community that you might be at odds with them, but that doesn't mean you need to change sides. We need to work together to be able to fix those issues, and so maybe those issues won't even be a problem, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I speculate.
This is a safe space for speculation, Telvin Templeman. This is a safe space for LID, only for cool people. I don't know what. I consider the channel to be the adult end, the adult section of YouTube, to tell you the truth. That's what I think, but that's just my own. I might be biased in that opinion.
Yeah, I
Theo,
think.
Oh, go ahead, man.
That's all right. I want to hear what Theo's got to say.
Okay, Theo. Yes, it's always interesting. The thing that you see in this channel is that there's a lot of people from outside of the states, outside of the country, who make cogent observations about how things are in the states. U.S. politics are just a two-party corporate gridlock. That's why so many protest voters. Yeah, you're totally right, theoretically. on that. Yeah. Well, if anything that we've learned here over the last 5 years, with Trump and MAGA people, and we've known this about evangelical Christians, by the way, evangelical Christianity, especially the politicized version of the politicized version of evangelical Christianity here in the States has nothing to do with Jesus whatsoever, little to do with the Bible, and more about white supremacy and corporate power. That's what evangelical Christianity is in terms of politics. It has little to nothing to do with Jesus, and everything to do with white supremacy, and everything to do with obeying corporate masters.
Yeah, and they want to keep their privileges that they've obtained.
Yeah. Jesse Bear writes out, the right is stupid with abortion. We want small government, and we want government control over adults in medical care. Yeah, totally. But consistency is not one of their strong points. Consistency is not one of their strong points. Yeah. I know, Theo, you're Swiss cheese.
I want this community grow.
Well, yeah. Well, I hope so too. Blazing Wizard Pope says, my doctor has a real human skull in his office. It's over 100 years old. Yikes. How about that? What's interesting, if you look into the skull, I worked with guys who have brain injuries for years. Grant Farmer's here. What's up, Mr. Farmer?
I woke up.
Grant.
You woke up. Well, I'm glad that you're not. I'm going to take you at your word, because there's a small chance that you're in some kind of dreaming, sleepwalking state. But the odds are is that you're probably awake.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that I've awoken.
Good. Well, congratulations. What have you been up to, sir, besides waking up?
Opened up a web browser.
Excellent, dude. Excellent. Strong words. The Grant is alive with a capital L too. Strong words here on Feel Good Friday. I know that the chat's talking about being an organ donor and donating your body to science. I'm hoping to get cryogenically frozen. That's what I'm hoping for. But I am an organ donor, so in case that of sudden death, then they can take whatever is useful here. I don't think there's going to be a lot of useful here. I don't want to talk ill about my organs, but if people could use like my, whatever they can use, then they can use it. But I am hoping to. I will become a canardicicle. That's right, Blazing Wizard Pope. And people say there's no chance, based on what cryogenics, the science is, that you're going to ever become unfrozen, that you're just going to be a dead canardicicle. It's like, yes, but it's still more of a chance than the belief in heaven or an afterlife. I think that if there's going to be any smart money on this bet, it would be the canardicicle than hoping to be reincarnated or for an afterlife.
Yeah, and basically putting your money on hoping that people care to actually do anything with you once they figure out how.
Well, I'm leaving all this great content on the internet. They will look at it someday. Right? And say, we need to unfreeze this man for the betterment of our ha-has and the chuckles, and for just entertainment. That's what I'm hoping for, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, so more likely that they'll just like, what's this old thing doing around here? But might as well just unplug it. Who cares about it?
Well, that's more than likely that would happen. There's a lot of I'm sure that there's some kind of equation about what are the chances of actually being properly frozen, getting properly unfrozen, and yeah, it's a very, very small chance. John Hudson, if they want to find out what heroic amounts of drugs will do to a body, you would be great for science. John Hudson. That sounds like you're volunteering, brother. That's what it sounds like. At Laughing the Skull having pointy sharp bits inside. Then yes. So we were talking about. I was talking about. Blazing Wizard Pope was talking about how his doctor has a skull in his office, and yeah, one of the things you learn, that I learned as an undergraduate, and also working with men who have brain injuries, men and women who have brain injuries, worked with them for 20 years, is that the inside of your skull has pointy parts to it, so that when you get into either an accident, or you can see this with football players or with boxers, when you get hit and your head rocks like this back and forth, your brain, there's a sheath around it, but the sheath still rubs up against these pointy parts inside of your skull, and it can get damaged that way. You get the micro injuries then that Jesse Bear just pointed out. And the reason for this isn't a sign of a creator. This isn't a sign of a god. This is a sign of evolution doing just good enough, just getting you, it doesn't have to smooth down all the rough edges. What it does is that it has to be smooth enough to keep you alive up until the time that you can procreate. That's pretty much the criteria for adaptation.
Yeah,
you can see that inside the skull.
Just last night I checked out the YouTube shorts, and there was a video of a girl. There's a ride called the slingshot where they shoot you up into the air, and you can see her like coming to, like laughing, aha, and then all of a sudden she's out, and then she comes back and she's like, aha, and then she's passing back out, but her head the whole time is just like slapping. And that's exactly what I was thinking about, what you were just saying. I was like, oh, her brain is getting rubbed like a piece of sandpaper on the inside of her skull.
It's not good. The shearing there. Yeah. And the thing with these micro injuries, right? And you see it with football, and you see it with, it isn't the games, of course the games are hardcore, as well as, the boxing. That's, the actual matches, you suffer a lot of damage, but most of that you get while in practice, because, you practice a far, larger amount of time than actually when you play the game. So it's when you're doing these practices. And when you look at kids who do peewee football, right, and they go all the way up through high school, it's like getting into college, they already have a history of these kind of micro injuries when they, if they are good enough to get into the NFL. Yeah,
it's sad. I mean, there's so many kids who are encouraged to play like that. All kinds of sports, gymnastics. It's a non-contact sport, but the thing is you wear out all of your joints, and like there's kids who are like in their early 20s, and they're basically handicapped, and sports is like I don't know.
Yeah,
like it's hard for me to enjoy them anymore.
The sports that my kids did, they both were, I had a few rules, a few goals I wanted for my kids. One is 19, the other one is 16. One is for them to do okay in school, to do good, to do well in school. Another one is to be able to swim, because I don't want my kids drowning. And another one is being able to defend themselves, right? Being able to handle themselves physically. And so they both did martial arts for a number of years, but most of it, and when they did do sparring, it was non-contact sparring, or it was supposed to be non-contact sparring. So it was like, point sparring. So yeah. But it was a gauge of whether or not the infrequent time they would get hit was worth it in comparison to the skills that they would get to be able to handle themselves in the future. Because both of my kids are, my daughter in particular is a small person, She is a physically small person, and I mean, she's a girl, and so I felt like it was necessary for her to be able to know how to at least physically defend herself. And my boy is not an exceptionally tall person either. But yeah, I felt like, but for the other sports that they did, it was more like he could swim. Swimming was okay, at least in my mind, because you're not going to get clocked in the head. And both of the kids were fairly decent.
Martial
swimmers.
arts, to me, is actually a really great, little cardio workout. Especially if you're not like beating up on bags and stuff. It's just about like movement and and doing little exercises like that.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk to the people who are in the back room waiting to come on. Dr. No, I'm going to call you Dr. No, though your your name is just No. I'm going to call you Dr. No after the first James Bond movie. Dr. No and Big Man. If we know who you are, if you've been part of the community, if you've been commenting, if you show your faces, if someone can vouch for you either in the chat or on screen here, then you can come on. But we've had people porn bomb us. And so those are the rules. Those are the rules if you want to join. You can be part of the community, but there's a vetting process. And, I'm happy to say that we're pretty much porn bomb free for quite a while. So those are the rules, to tell you the truth. That's just the rules of coming on the channel and being on the panel.
Yeah, if you know Kevin Chaos, he just had his channel removed because he let somebody on and they porn bombed him.
Yeah,
and they totally removed his channel.
Yep, yeah, that'll happen. So especially when you talk about, and this is what happens when you're talking about right wingers, right? Because they can't win elections, and they can't win in the marketplace of ideas. This is what they do. They go over to like secular or progressive or atheist channels, and that's what they do, is that they porn bomb because they have deficiency of ideas, because they're bankrupt. They are bankrupt people, typically in their, when you look at the right wing, when you look at people who are the leaders, you look at the Glenn Becks, who are, recovering addicts who ran their lives into a ditch. And now they found God and trying to make all of our lives miserable. That is the rule and not the exception. Yeah, there are fair rules, John Hudson. That's what we do. We do fair, and even though, and try to be professional, right? We're like Mr. Pink from Reservoir Dogs. We just try to be professional here. That's all.
Right.
Well, that's right, Galen. Glenn Beck. He has the COVID going into his lungs, but he is still with us. And, it would be different. See, this is the second time Glenn Beck has gotten COVID. It's the second time. You would think he would have learned from the first time. You would have thought that he would have learned from the millions of people dead from COVID. You would have thought that, but not so much.
People are really horrible at taking warnings. They really are.
Yeah, yeah. Well, once again, when we talk about how our bodies have been shaped by natural selection and evolution, it's the same thing with our brains. That's why even the smartest ones of us are crappy thinkers. You just have to look on Twitter for 5 minutes and look at some really smart people's tweets. And wow, wrong, missing the boat.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where I'm not very confident. I don't assert myself very confidently in many discussions and stuff, because I know there's a pretty good chance I could be wrong with what I think. And I mean, that's one reason why I like coming on here is, maybe, I give a bad argument and I can be shown otherwise, because I want to know as many true things as possible.
Yeah. There's something called epistemic humility, right? Epistemic humility, where you are, there's a recognition that you could be wrong. So YouTube, and you see, and the thing is, epistemic humility is something that YouTube does not, social media does not reinforce. It doesn't give positive incentives for. What it does is that you get people like Joe Rogan, you get people like Jordan Peterson, who just speak, or Deepak Chopra, who just speak word salad. They use big enough words to make stupid people think that they're smart. And that's why Joe Rogan has the largest podcast on the planet. Not exactly, not a lot of epistemic humility going on. Right, Blazing
Right.
Wizard Pope. What you're not going to see is that we've developed an ivermectin-based vaccine. Yeah, that does not happen. Why? Because ivermectin is about as useful to treating COVID-19 as prayers are. You're not going to find a prayer-based
about as
vaccine.
useful. Yeah, prayers are about as useful as eating cake in a crisis.
This is what I think too. I think we get more people trying to jump in and porn bomb us when there's like snow days, right? So the middle schoolers are around checking things out in their mom's basements. It's like, it's a snow day, so let's try to do this thing.
Yeah, they are blowing up this private chat over here.
It is funny. It is funny. And their arguments are exactly what you would think from middle school Republicans. It's like, please, we good. Oh, man. I love YouTube, to tell you the truth. I mean, I hate it and I love it at the same time.
It's such a useful tool, man. It really is. As long as you know how to fact check your information, it can be so useful.
Well,
but there's times like I use it to work on my car. Sometimes I run into things that I'm not quite sure about, and I like to see somebody else doing the work before me. So this one time I was looking stuff up, and I was looking at the specific problem that was dealing with something underneath the hood. And then the guy kind of like goes on a tangent and goes over to the side door and starts talking about the window. And then like it doesn't say anything about the title of the video and the problem that I wanted. Like there's so much just like crap you got to filter through to get to the good stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, you do. Well, the one, I think as an adult, what you figure out, if you're a skeptic in general, right? It doesn't matter if you're 12 or 22 or 52. If you're a skeptic, then you know that 85% of everything is just crap, right? 85% of content is crap. It's not going to tell you what you need to know. John Hudson, who we know, who is a known.
I just came in because I'm going to mute myself. I just wanted to read that private chat.
Oh, that's that's really funny, John Hudson.
Hey, you got the kiddo.
Yeah, the private chat, it's a lot less exciting than you think it is. But it's typical stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it is somewhat entertaining. I just took a look at the private chat. So yeah.
Hey, how many people you have try to get in this morning?
There's still someone here who is still really, really hanging in there.
Help me, I'm at blah 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 in a basement.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I just wanted to see the private chat. I'm gonna go back on the other end and watch you guys.
Well, I'm glad we were able to supply some entertainment for you, or at
Okay.
least the middle schoolers were able to supply some kind of.
Oh, I got a 5-year-old here that's entertained too. So,
all right, man. Good
have a great weekend, guys.
Yeah.
Later, John.
Ladies, everybody.
Yeah, I really do like that. the community that has built up around this channel and others that I hang out with. All of y'all have like, I feel like I've grown close to y'all, you know.
No, yeah.
And I look forward to what happens in the future, you know. And I think we're like on the cusp of, you know, something. I think like I think, you know, like this may be somewhat unpopular, but that's because there's just not enough awareness. Like there's not enough non-believers and atheists who are aware of like this kind of content. And like to me, like it got to a point to where I was hearing all the arguments about God and stuff like that, and then I kind of slowly waned from that, and I was like, I started thinking about politics and how that is all affected by, and lo and behold, you know, yeah, the religious people are, you know, pretty much, not completely, but they do control a lot of the right. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, especially within our lifetimes, we have seen the Republican Party being, you know, basically altered. Sometimes quickly, sometimes quite quickly, into a theocratic party, into a fascist party. I mean, it's always had those tendencies. Let's face it. It's always had, well, at least after World War II. We'll just say that after World War II, and after, let's face it, it all started happening after the Great Society. Once the Democrats decided that they were going to stand up for racial equality, right? Once the Democrats decided they were going to stand up for racial equality with the Voting Rights Act, with the Civil Rights Act, that's when the Republicans decided to go full fascist. That's when they started deciding that they were going to go and become the party of the South for white supremacy. And since then, it's just been a logical evolution from that point.
yeah,
It reminds me of the classic Monty Python sketch of the guy who comes in for an argument and his opponent just always says to take the opposing position regardless of what it is. That's kind of what the Republican Party has become. They're just like contrarian of, you want that, we have to do the opposite.
Well, you know, I mean, you could see that perfectly with coronavirus, right? You see that perfectly about what we were just talking about. People who, you know, Glenn Beck, he's taken ivermectin, but he's not getting the vaccine. He's got, you know, monoclonal antibodies, but he's not getting the vaccine because somewhere in their brains they think that this is how we own the libs. It is really by killing off your own political base. This is how you think you're going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so fundamentally, it's a fundamentally oppositional system where each side is an opposition to the other. So if one side takes position, the other side is like, we take the opposite position. And the Democrats have been trying to push for racial equality and economic equality and such things. So the other side is just like, we are not that.
Right.
And over time, they've just lost any semblance of real policy now. And they're just the contrarian party.
There is no policy. There are just scaremongering talking points. You know, like the most recent one is critical race theory. Critical race theory is just another variation of, you know, it's like QAnon light in a lot of ways. Like the regular Republican Party, Fox News talking points are just QAnon light. Sometimes full-blown QAnon kind of stuff. You know,
yeah, and it's so prevalent too. It's just it blows my mind whenever I hear like non-believers and they're like using the talking points. It's because they have so much damn money and they have so many avenues to put out their message.
Well, yeah, a Discord server. You know, Jesse, if you want to message me on Instagram, it is something. You know, there, as you can probably all guess, everyone, your your Dr. Kennard has a lot of stuff going on. There's, I mean, out of a list of like 50 things I would like to be doing, I can competently manage maybe 5, maybe, yeah, while still having a life, right? While still like being out in the world and having, like having a job, being a parent, yeah, it's difficult. But yeah, if you want to message me and talk about a Discord channel, I wouldn't be against the idea.
It is pretty cool. I haven't gone there very often and played with it, but I do like going there, and it's just like kind of like a back room where you can go and talk to people and like continue the conversation.
Yeah.
It is a pretty cool platform.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. But just like any other community, I mean, it's all about moderation. It's about keeping things on track. It's about, making sure that you don't have clowns jumping into the back room trying to get on, trying to derail the conversation.
Yeah. It is a lot of work. It's starting up these little the apps and stuff. Like my most recent one was Twitch. I started it maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit less than that, and that was the last time I've messed with it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I can typically do like X number of things, like every day, constantly, and then I typically have enough energy to focus on one thing in particular and focus on it. Right now, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's on Twitter. I've been focusing more on Twitter because they're doing some really interesting things with audio on Twitter, and Twitter is not the biggest social media platform by far. Pinterest is bigger than Twitter, but I've been playing around with it, and so that's what's been kind of occupying a lot of my social media space in my brain.
Yeah, you do better than I. On a good day, I can focus on one thing.
Yeah, well,
otherwise I basically just react to other people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to set up my own YouTube, Twitch, or whatever kind of thing. Been trying to get basically a co-host to keep me on track, because if I don't have that, then I'm not getting anything done.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I have found that there are definitely benefits of working with someone. I worked with Jack Paterko, still do. And whenever we get the podcast going, the new podcast, it looks like Dennis Mailer, who's the local, Boston area comedian, radio guy too. He's going to be someone who's been in the field working for a long time, professional, who's going to be, on the team, fingers crossed.
Heck yeah. Right on.
So Galen says that Discord will wipe your servers if you report hate groups.
I don't really understand what that means. Like they'll remove your channel or whatnot?
It's maybe. Once again, not too aware of what goes. I know once again on YouTube, every day when I wake up, actually, it's more like I'm going to see if YouTube's has banned me or not. So far, it hasn't. I still, whenever I go into my creator studio, YouTube, I'm doing it right now on my second screen. YouTube still tells me channel violations. You have a warning. Yep, I know. Thank you, YouTube.
Huh. Yeah, like.
Jesse Bear says, I can set up a Discord and be private. Okay. And people would need to have a time-sensitive link to join. Well, that sounds like it's a way to control the insanity, right?
Have a special elitist club of the close personal friends of Dr. Kennard.
Yes, indeed. Close. You have to have your smoking jacket on, right? in your brandy and swirl it around. There has to be a certain amount of swirls to your brandy. And Galen says, David, I imagine Pacman is David Pacman, Atheist Republican Discords, and Cyman Dan, who I follow. Cyman Dan. Blazing the Pub says we should name the Discord Carnodology. That's funny.
Carnodology. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like hanging out with the Tang and stuff like that, and on the Tang network Discord server. Amy Newman, I like the way it's set up because you can say a lot of stuff, and you can also put pictures and videos and stuff in it. It's just like the most interactive app that I've so far played with.
Oh, cool.
Mm.
Well,
Twitter, huh?
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
It's kind of like a Facebook group message, but you can do so much more with it.
Well, that sounds very appealing. So maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll just do it. Maybe you convinced me.
Yeah. Man. So much to do.
So much work. Yeah. Especially when I'm still trying to do that comedy thing too at the same time, right? It's supposed to be it's supposed to be a comedy channel, political comedy channel. I think so. I don't know. That's why I tell people, at least.
Yeah, you keep on saying that you're a comedian, but I've yet to see any proof.
Oh, punishment. Grant Farmer. Oh, it's going to leave a mark, Grant. Don't worry. There's the typical comment I got on the blog was that don't quit your day job. That's probably the most popular comment. You're not funny. Why don't you pick on Democrats? All those things. But you got to have a thick skin to be on social media. That's what you need to have.
Busting my balls. Oh,
yeah,
geez.
That's right. Well, this is what if you are on social media, if you are a content creator, I remember one of the first things I heard, which I took to heart, is that no one's going to care about what you do. When you first start out, no one's going to care. The corollary to that, you probably suck too, even if you don't think that you suck. You're probably here, and it's very, it's important to know so that you can understand the slog ahead of you. Is that when you first start out, no one's going to care what you do, even your mom. She isn't going to watch your YouTube channel. Or, yeah. And more than likely, your friends aren't going to appreciate you on YouTube either, because they already know you. They already know what you're all about. Like, I don't know you two, I don't know you two outside of YouTube. I can tell you this: every once in a while, I might have a personal friend who pops in. Very rare, very rare. So don't expect your friends to actually follow you.
Yeah, that's why it's more important to just enjoy the journey and the creative process of making it, because like at first you'll be awful because you don't know a whole lot, and then if you just keep on going at something, you can get very good at it. And that's what makes something good, is a lot of practice went behind it. There's a lot of work that went behind it. That's why something becomes so, it'll become popular, and or it just, people will want to watch it because
in social media is, once again, it is deceiving in the fact that you see someone who's an overnight success, but typically that person has been working for years. And they have, and it's very, it's very on whatever they are. So Trey Crowder, who's the liberal redneck, he's a classic example. He'd been doing comedy for 5, 6, 7 years, and then he just happened to hit it big on a Facebook video that he uploaded, and that's what he already had a skill set before that. Mm-hmm. Right, he already had the skills and the tools necessary to be successful. He got lucky with hitting on social media and has been able to build off of that into a real career where he's touring nationally with the other 2 lads from the Well-Read Comedy Tour. But so every once in a while you'll see one person like and I'll say this too about American Baron, who I would show a lot of his TikTok videos. Really talented young guy, very Woody Allen-esque, but you could tell that there's a depth of knowledge with what he does, right? So they just don't, every once in a while you will see like a YouTube or a TikTok person just kind of like blow up, but typically they don't last if they don't put in the work or if they don't have the skill set.
Yeah, it's very much a combination of skill and luck.
Yep. It's Mel Brooks, right? And Mark Maron. A lot of entertainers will say this, is that it's 1/3 luck, 1/3 talent, and then 1/3 grind, right? So you could have 2 out of 3 of those and never become successful. That's just the nature of this business. It isn't like you're going to be a lawyer in a law firm and there's a clear path for you to climb up the corporate ladder to become a partner. There's none of that on YouTube. There's none of that on social media and content creation. You're basically an entertainer and you're just doing the thing and you're hoping to not just go viral once, but to continue in building up a community and a following. Because people who think that you go viral once and that's it, you are going to be freaking disappointed. I've written a bunch of viral pieces on my blog, and it's like every single time, you get more noticed, but that doesn't mean that, it isn't a question of getting one big break. It's a question of getting several small breaks or several breaks as you continue your whatever career you're doing.
And sometimes you can break the other way too.
Oh yeah, dude. Sometimes you just suck,
Yeah.
Sometimes you just suck. I was talking with Jimmy Lou about this, and I'm telling tales out of school. It's like, for people who do comedy, it's like you feel like you're as good as your last joke, right? You're as good as the last ha-ha chuckle. And that's why comedians like to do as many jokes as possible, or do like joke after joke after joke, is because if one sucks, then maybe people will give you the benefit of staying for the next joke, and that will probably not suck. But yeah.
And if you do bomb on a joke, you just have to roll with it.
Oh yeah. True enough.
The recovery is in many ways more important than the initial joke. Because if you can't recover, then you'll die your first bad joke. But if you know how to recover, then you can roll through a few.
And I love Anthony Jeselnik's out. He was talking about it, I guess, on a show. And his out whenever a joke doesn't work with an audience. One of his outs is that I thought you guys were cool. All right. So it's been about an hour. I'm going to close up shop because I got to go to work and get ready for work and still do work before I go to work too. So thank you, Mr. Farmer, Mr. Grant Farmer, Tobin Templeman. Fun as always. Everyone in the chat, everyone watching, YouTubers, tweet people in the Twitter community, people watching on Facebook. Thanks. We're going to do the same crazy thing on Monday. Take care, everyone. Shamala hamala.
Shamala hamala.